stretch. Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. So I'm just going to take my shoes off here. Lots of questions about how to even start to get flexible. So today's video is going to be stretches or getting flexible tips and suggestions for beginners. So where to even start? Probably noticing, especially when we start working out and we start getting into our fitness journey, or as we age, as we get older, as time progresses on, we start noticing things are bothering us or hurting us. Moving your body in different ways that you're not used to and you're feeling it. So whatever we're repeatedly doing, our body adapts, our body kind of molds to whatever you're just consistently doing. Crew, he's playing with the ball. You're gonna knock my camera over, dude. Sit. Boy. Because of our lack of mobility or flexibility, especially if we see something online or we see somebody doing something and we want to try it and we jump to it, and then or we push a little bit harder into something because we're wanting to do it, and then we end up injuring ourselves. What happens is muscles that aren't flexible, they're tight, they can be shortened, or from whatever it is that you've lack of doing in your life. And when you go to try to do something that requires your muscles and your ligaments and your joints to move in a different direction you're not used to, that you haven't practiced, and those muscles that are tight and kind of balled up, they get overstretched. And because your body is not used to that lengthening, stretching movement or that mobility, so moving in that direction, that's how injuries happen, or strains, or you pull the muscle, a combination, any type of injury that you can deal with, aches, pains. That's the reason why we end up that. So that's why it's so important to not jump into something and do something that you're not used to. Even for the advanced athlete, for people you see online who can do these like crazy moving ninja things, even for my own self, we have practiced for that. We have trained for that. We have worked up for that. We didn't just out of nowhere start doing that. And that goes the same for you guys too. We all started somewhere. So that goes the same for you guys. It kind of is discouraging, especially when you're just starting your fitness journey. You don't want to have pain. And that's nothing to be ashamed of or be discouraged at all. It just means that there's just things to work on, things to improve. That's why it's so important to be doing mobility exercises and stretching and just taking care of your body and moving it in different directions. So when you do something that requires you to move in a different direction, that you're just gonna flow with it. So don't be discouraged and don't be upset and don't stop. That is the thing. It's gonna be uncomfortable in the beginning, and uncomfortable is what gets us to being comfortable. You can also have some tools that can help you when stretching. So there's things like yoga blocks. You can get these, they're pretty inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon, you can get them at Target, Walmart. And then if you can, having like maybe a band or yoga straps, those are very beneficial to have. So when you are doing a stretching routine and say you can't reach quite yet to where you need to go, the straps or a band can help you still get into that stretch. And first thing I can tell you is, I know from my own flexibility journey, my own mobility journey, everything that I do right now, I did not start with. You want to start with some basic stuff, focus on the areas you want to improve in, and then add to it. Just like anything else, progression over time. As you get more flexible, move to something else, add something else. I know for my own self, as I've gotten more flexible, I started adding more flow to my routine, because I can start moving in different directions, and you retain those movements and you're able to add on to them. But in the beginning, it can be very overwhelming, and you don't want to try to do a million different movements to try to get flexible. The most important thing is focusing on large muscle groups, working through progression. Where most people go wrong is when they're stretching and they're like, well, they start stretching, they give up or stop, it is uncomfortable. Tightness in areas, that it's sometimes you might be afraid to progress a little bit further. You might think you might hurt yourself. A lot of us don't like being uncomfortable, so we never push past that point. We kind of just stop, and then we've never truly progressed to the next level of what it is we're trying to achieve. You know, you have to designate a certain amount of time, and you have to commit to that time depending on your schedule and the time that you're allowed, that you can actually dedicate to stretching. It's gonna be different for everybody. What might work for me, the routine might not work for you or for the next person. You're gonna have to kind of play around with it. It's just like your workout routine. You set a day and a time and a routine for working out. You have to do the same thing for stretching. When you are starting, you have to kind of pick an area you want to improve in. Some of us are gonna probably require more time in our stretching, especially when we're starting out. Now, I could tell you designate 60 minutes at least 3 or 4 times a week, but that might not work for you. Pick anywhere between 5 minutes and 60 minutes to designate to your stretching, depending on what your schedule is. Pick in there, find what works for you, play around, and over time you're gonna find how long it's gonna take you to do a specific stretching routine, and you're able to like work off that and develop a schedule. Now, first and foremost, the most important part before going into your stretching routine is being warming up. Even the advanced professional people, even if we are flexible, fairly flexible already, we do not go into something cold. You got to get your body, the certain muscles that you want to be stretching and joints that you want to be working on, you have to get them warmed up, getting blood flow going to that area. Once you're warmed up, then you can start going into a movement. Important key factors to pay attention and remember when you're stretching. We're going to use this as an example. We can't quite reach. The first wrong thing people do is people round their back. Basically, you're not going to make any progress. That is where the strap or a band comes in, because the things you want to remember is you want to think of belly to thigh, chest to knee. Think of like kissing your shin. It doesn't matter if you can't reach your foot yet. Okay, so don't sacrifice your form to try and reach your foot. You're gonna have to take those strap or something, or even a towel. You can wrap a towel around your foot. You can see how I'm keeping everything straight, and then I'm pulling, so I'm bending at my arms and pulling, trying to pull that chest and that belly towards my thigh, and you're gonna progress the correct way and progress faster when you do it this way. So no rounding of the back, trying to do this, trying to get over there. That's not enough. Straight legs in front of you. You're not going to go like this, trying to reach. You need to focus on hinging at the hips and trying to bring that belly to your thighs, chest to your knees. Trying to think of like you're bringing to kiss your shins. I had somebody tell me that before, and that's a good thing to remember when you're just trying to stretch. If you can't quite reach your feet, this is where this comes in. So it helps you. We're going to use this one as an example. When people are stretching, they tend to probably hold their breath, or as soon as it gets uncomfortable, they're out of it. They don't keep pushing, they don't keep trying to progress through that stretch. Key is breathing. I had my phone and I timed every stretch. You can do 60 seconds, you can do 20 seconds, you can do 45 seconds, you can do 60 seconds. You pick somewhere in there. Obviously, the longer the time, the better. So when you're here, you're like, okay, this is tight. Woo, woo. Okay, hold it. It's gonna be uncomfortable. Don't forget to breathe. Breathing in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Don't tense up your muscles. Try to relax every muscle. And you're gonna notice as you hold that, as you focus on relaxing every single muscle in your body and you breathe, you're gonna feel yourself kind of loosen up in that stretch, and it's not gonna be as painful. And you feel your body kind of relax a little bit more. The tense muscles relax a little bit more. Every exhale, you're going to drop a little further. Into that stretch. Every exhale, push a little further. And then if that's tight for you, that's uncomfortable, hold there again. Do this over a period of time. And if you keep pushing past that uncomfortable point, you practice that breathing and that relaxing and going a little bit deeper into the stretch, over a period of time, you're going to elongate and stretch out and get that flexibility in those muscles that you are focusing on. And that goes for any muscle that you are trying to stretch on your body. Keep practicing this. You might be super repetitive on some movements for a long period of time, and that's okay. The more time you spend, the more days, the hours, the minutes, whatever it is, the faster you're going to progress and the faster you're going to get more flexible. Alright guys, so I'm going to run you through some basic stretching stuff that I started with. So this was like my beginner routine when I started. And I'm not going to do the full reps, but so what I usually start with is I'm on my knees, and you guys, I lacked the mobility and flexibility to be on my knees, but I kept myself in this position because I wanted to get used to stretch out in this area. So a lot of you are going to find that you're sitting here, then your knees and stuff are going to start to hurt, and you're going to be like up here, then you're going to come back down. I did the same thing when I started. But the first thing I would always do was my neck. So I would do head rolls. I would circle, so you think of just drawing a circle with your head, so you go clockwise and then counterclockwise. So I would roll, and you're always keeping your shoulders relaxed. You're not tensing up trying to roll. So you need to be relaxed. Same thing, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. I usually do anywhere from 10 to 20 reps. And this goes for any movement that I'm doing or timing myself. I started with 30 seconds. Then I do forward and back, 10, 1, 1, 2, 2. So you're just getting your neck used to moving in different directions. This is good, making a strong neck and making a flexible and mobile neck. So if anything ever happens, your head can move that way. Otherwise, if it can't move that way, that's how injuries happen. Then I take this hand and I come over my shoulder here and I kind of pull down a little bit. And then I go opposite, my head tilts opposite of my hand, and most of you will probably feel how tight you're gonna be in your neck. Same thing, you're gonna hold for 30 seconds, okay? You hold, and once that's done, then you go to the other side and you hold for 30 seconds. Remember, you wanna get to that uncomfortable point and hold. Next one, I take my hand, I put it underneath my foot. You put it underneath here, and you're going to pull your head in the opposite direction. This is just going to stretch out all the muscles in your neck and your spine, going down into your shoulder and your scapula. Do the other side, behind and stretch, hold 30 seconds. So after that, I take and I roll my hand forward, my arm forward, straight arm, back, forward and back, and I do 10 circles forward and back. Same on this side. And some of us are probably going to be like, you can't really like go backwards, like all the way back like this. You're gonna be limited, but keep practicing it. Keep practicing it. And eventually you're gonna get to that point. So forward and back, bring my arm behind my head. Some of you aren't gonna be able to really grab your hand. Okay, so this is something that you will eventually get to. But you're just going to do the best you can. You can always put your hand behind your elbow and try to pull down to stretch my wrists. So I focus on moving back and forth like this. So just getting my wrists used to and stretching them in different directions and strengthening your wrists as well. Reverse it, reverse the hand placement, same thing, rock this way. And then I eventually got to the point where you can really just stretch it out. You can go in different directions. The cat-cow, which is coming up for your spine, coming down, coming up, coming down. And I would do 1, 2, 2. I'd cross underneath. This is for shoulder, okay? Be in this position and you hold here. Down here, stretching this way. And you hold that for 30 seconds. Do the butterfly pose. So I would start with this. Some of us are going to be kind of stuck up here. Their hips aren't as flexible and mobile, so we can't really bring them down low. Second, and I would just keep practicing trying to push down. I'd use my elbows and sit back here and push forward. Come back. You can push forward. This will help helps stretch out these ligaments and these joints in your hip joint here, your adductors, the muscle forward, and you can relax. And you can come forward, come up to a wall. Scoot your butt up to the wall, and you can be here. So you have something to brace you. And you can push on your knees towards the wall, doing it for 30 seconds. I remember I was like this, but I just kept practicing that correct form and pulling, so eventually I could get into a deeper stretch. The front here, and practicing stretching out. This is for hamstrings, the back of the legs. So coming here. So this is going to be stretching out your quad muscle here and the muscles that connect up here to your hips and abductors. And then pushing forward. So what you want to do is pushing forward through your hips and holding this. Same thing, good quad stretch, good glute stretch on both sides, hips, and coming to this position here and holding this and just holding it. To a side lunge here. So some of us might be stuck up here. We can't really get down this low yet, okay? Something you would progress to. You can always use a wall or a chair and hold on to it and stretch into this position and eventually get down to this position here. This is where blocks come into play as well when you're doing certain stretches. So you have something to stabilize you and you're able to get deeper into that stretch, into that movement. Or if you're trying to do the splits, having blocks. So maybe you're stuck here and you can't go further down. So you use the blocks to help stabilize you. Your middle split here, coming down. And the key is you're not doing this. So you're not like this. You want to sit tall, and again, it's the same rule applies. You want to try to bring your belly button to the floor. It needs to be flat, and your chest needs to come forward. You want to come like past your toes. You want to think the chest going that way. You don't want to be here bringing your chest to the floor right underneath your crotch. So again, being straight. And when I'm turned this way, I'm not like this. I'm keeping up. Remember, belly button to thigh, kissing those shins. Stretch, hold that. Stretch, hold that to this direction as well. And then coming forward. And you have to work into it. Sometimes you have to hold something. I know even for mine, even though I'm more on an advanced level, sometimes I have to hold. So I'm not quite warmed up yet. But I have to hold this position for a minute before I can come flatter on the ground. So you have to warm up and get your muscles ready for that stretching. So you hold this, again, 30 seconds or so, and then you just keep working lower and lower and lower and lower. You can come here and you can actually, my door's in the way, you can let your legs fall. This helps to keep them straight, and then you can kind of like push down. You can even have somebody helping you to push down, but being in this position and try to pull my knees to my chest. This actually will help with your spine, your hip, and as well as stretching out quad muscles. So you pull down to your chest. So you can't quite, so you're in this and you can't quite reach. But a lot of us can't have that yet. This is where this comes into play, because then you can help yourself progress and pull through that movement. So you be here, stretch. This was my staple that I started with as I was relaxing. Being able to pull further and further and further. So when you get to the point where you're flexible, then you can actually start to grab and hold and start stretching yourself more that way. I would also rotate. This is one of the most, like I said, my staple. I would rotate circles inwards and outwards. This is going to help loosen up and get more mobile in your hips. Those of you that have issues with your hips right now. And then I would drop and hold it here. I would use the band and I would hold it here. Then I would switch and go to the other side. So I'm going to show you. I would go over and try to hold this way. And trying to keep your back as flat to the ground, your shoulders as flat as you can. Hold the stretch this way, and then I would come back. Grab and pull down this way. Now some of us aren't going to be able to do that, so this is where this comes into play. And just bending, trying to bend your knee towards your shoulder. You do both at the same time if you want. This is called the baby pose. As I cross over like this, taking opposite hand to opposite knee and just pulling your knee in gently in and out. This again helps with the hips and loosening up and getting more mobile hips. Foot up, and this is a good glute stretch. And if you can, you reach through, you grab, interlace your fingers, and then you're gonna pull towards your body, again staying flat on the floor. This is gonna be a really good glute stretch. Usually as you get more flexible, you get more pretzel-like. I'd rock, doing that for 10 reps, counting 10 reps and coming up. Then I'd set my time, 30 seconds, and hold. Again, breathing, and with each exhale, you're relaxing and going a little bit deeper into the stretch. Frog pose. Your bent legs, knees go out to the side. Now a lot of you might only be able to sit up here. You're gonna be up sitting high. That's okay. So you're gonna be like this in this position. You're not gonna be like rounded. You want to try to be as straight backed as possible. This is where blocks come into play. If you can't quite reach the ground, you can be here. Going a little bit deeper, going a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, and pushing back into those hips. So once you get to this position, you sit here, hold this, 30 seconds. The further your feet are out, the more it's going to stretch those inner thighs and the top where these muscles connect on your hips at the top of the quads muscle. Okay, so then eventually you get to the point where you just get lower, and you're pushing for a deeper stretch, you're pushing back into your hips. In this position here, so a lot of us, it's gonna be maybe really hard for us. We're gonna have to be really wide because we don't have that flexibility to get to the point where you're going to be here. So you can use your blocks to help you, and you don't wanna be like this, back straight, trying to think of belly button to thigh. See, you can see how all of these apply, the same rule applies for all these movements. To open up your shoulders and open up your back. Over time, as I said, you get more flexible, you get more mobile, and you can start moving yourself in different directions. It's just about doing it the proper way, being consistent and committing time to that, as much time as you can if you want to progress in that. But I encourage you guys to do warm-ups and to do stretching, but it's gonna not only help you the physical health of your body, but also prevent you from having injuries. You're gonna feel better. As we age, we're going to have less issues. We're gonna find that we're gonna actually be able to do more things because we're not gonna be out of shape or not conditioned for something, or because our body is limited in so many ways. I've been on my own stretching, flexibility, mobile flow journey going on 4 years now. But it's taken me that long to get to this point, but only because I've dedicated only 2 days a week to actually stretching. So I think I would have progressed a lot faster if I was doing it daily. So again, you have to look at it this way, that the more you do it, the quicker you're gonna progress. The less you do it, the slower you're gonna progress. So it's all based off on how much time you can dedicate to your stretching routine. My warm-ups are so important to me. I do it before every single workout. Even if I'm just doing like 10-minute sprints and some core exercises, I still do my warm-ups. Then I prevent injuries and my body's ready to go for whatever it is I'm about to do. 2 days a week that I designate to stretching, only an hour to full body stretching. So that is my routine. Might not work for all of you guys, but it might be a good guide for you guys to get started and putting together your own stretching routine. But like I said, you guys, it all comes down to is not trying to do everything at once and overwhelming yourself, because this is new to you and you want to develop good habits, you want to develop like muscle memory and retain for the specific stretching routine or movements that you're doing. There are so many different ways to approach a movement, a stretch, There's so much content out there and variety of things. It just depends on your preference and how you want to do it. I'm just sharing, this was my specific routine that I did when I started, and so maybe it could help you guys. These are just some good ones to start with, but if you see some other ones that you find that might be more exciting to you that you want to do, I encourage you to do it. Go for it. We have to start somewhere. We have to start small, and we have to build on that. When you love it and you're doing it for you, you're going to continue to do it. Hopefully you guys found this stretching for beginners, but I hope that this will be a good guide for you guys and help you to get going and get started in the right direction and doing it correctly. But thank you guys so much for tuning in this week, and don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications. And I will see you guys on the next video. Mwah!